Thank you for being with us. This is the second part of the program, and it's slightly varied. My guest here is Dr. Joseph Likari, who was with us last week. He's former permanent secretary of permanent representative of the Council of Europe. Thank you very much for joining us once again. We carry on from where we left last week, and we're hearing a lot of different opinions about the sharp rise in COVID-19 this week. I refer to Dr. Daniels, who we spoke with last week, and I quote, he actually said, although we are seeing a lot of new cases, people don't seem to be getting so unwell. And that was Dr. Daniels, who's a consultant in intensive care, NHS Birmingham. So a lot of different opinions. Before we carry on with Dr. Likari, we're going to see a short feature. The first person is an interview with our tourism minister, Farrugia Portelli, and the BBC. And you can hear various opinions there. And then we carry on with another opinion from Lord Jonathan Sumption, a former Supreme Court judge who really is very anti-lockdown. So that's a very short feature, and we'll be with you soon.
Tourists in the coming weeks.
How can you be prepared when Britain or the UK has the worst level of infection rate in Europe?
We are pretty much geared up, even through our international network, even the mechanism that we have in our airport. We have the right mechanism at the airport to test each and every passenger through the temperature gauging mechanisms, but then of course we understand that also as a country we have a strong base when it comes to our healthcare system. Even Commonwealth General Secretary Patricia Scotland has applauded Malta, and they described the way that we handled the pandemic as the best country in the world for handling this situation. We, as a country, we're taking all the precautions. The precautions are in place, airport, hotels, also the many attractions that we have in Malta are all geared up. We have safety protocols in place. All the hotels, the restaurants, etc. are COVID tested. So that means that each and every traveler has peace of mind that each and every side of the corner of our country is practically safe.
Julia, can I just check on some of the, you talked about some of the measures you're going to bring in. So when British tourists, if they're allowed to travel, when they arrive in Malta, you say they have a temperature check as they come in. So they go to a hotel, and as you will know, the temperature check is not definitive, it's a moment in time. So it is possible that someone could arrive in Malta, pass the temperature check into their hotel, and then fall ill in the hotel and be tested positive. What would happen in that hotel to all the other guests and the staff if that were to happen?
If that were to happen, and it's hypothetical, but we have the right protocols, the right mechanisms in place. So basically we have a protocol which states that each and every hotel which experiences this kind of situation, they will isolate them, that tourist, until the medical team comes into place. And then we have a fully-fledged health system wherein all the patients, all the tourists will be cared for in an appropriate manner.
How long would that period be for?
Pardon me?
How long would that period be for?
Basically, we're saying that each and every hotel has a direct line, a direct link to our health authorities, and basically that mechanism will go straight in action, and the team will start taking over and isolate that particular tourist. But of course, we are prepared.
See
What I'm advocating now is that the lockdown should become entirely voluntary. It is up to us, not the state, to decide what risks we are going to take with our own bodies. Now, the traditional answer that people give to that is, well, but by going out or in the streets and in shops and things, you are infecting other people. But you don't have to take that risk. You can voluntarily self-isolate. You don't have to go into the streets. You don't have to go to the shops. People who feel vulnerable can self-isolate, and the rest of us can then get on with our lives. We have never lived in a risk-free world, and we're never going to live in a risk-free world. We are going to have to live with Covid-19 because it's going to be around for a long time unless somebody successfully invents and trials a vaccine.
So
we might
may
as
I
well
ask you
get on
then,
with
what choice would you make in that entirely voluntary system that you're putting forward? What choice would you make for yourself and members of your household?
Well, I make my choices and other members of my household will make theirs. But my choice would be that I would live a perfectly normal life. If the pubs were open now, I would go to a crowded pub with no hesitation. If the theatres were open now, I would go to the theatre with no hesitation. Because this is, for the overwhelming majority of people with no serious underlying conditions, this is a very mild epidemic. In the Cabinet Office papers published with the National Risk Assessment, they have listed all the pandemics since 1918. The mortality of this one is right down the bottom, lower than any of the others.
That was a short feature, and we're going to carry on with Dr. Likari. However, we're joining our guest from Lebanon, and the reason we're interrupting our interview here is that the line is very bad. So we're going to have a look at what's happening in Lebanon right now. And we're joined by the president of the China Arab Association, Madame Ibrahim. Good evening, Madame Ibrahim.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. It's very heartbreaking what's happened, and I just wonder if you could give us an update of how things are developing.
Actually, it's a very sad story, and it happened suddenly. And as you know, I think Lebanon is in most of the people's mind. Okay, they think it's always a war. We passed the civic war, and we finished in the year of 1990. And then by the year of 2006, we have the war between Lebanon and Israel. And then after around 15 years, okay, we got this explosion. So this is very sadly. The moment when it happened, I was just having dinner with my husband, and suddenly I heard a big bomb, big explosion, and the floor under my feet, like waving up and down 2-3 times. I couldn't remember, and the wave, it's so high, and I thought in the beginning it was an earthquake, but suddenly I thought maybe because with the big sound, I thought maybe it's some bomb. But I felt it's so close to me because it's so huge, okay? And then after I check out, okay, I thought it was 500 meters away from my house, but actually it's 8 kilometers from my house.
How are you as a community providing support and solace to each other and the families of the victims?
You know, actually, the Chinese in Lebanon are not so huge. Okay, we have only 600 people. And now with the internet, we have a group. Okay, so everybody is in that group. When something happened, and everybody go that group and to post the news and ask everybody if it's in the safe. And the moment I sent a message to the group, and I received message also from the south of Beirut, from the east of Beirut. I'm living in the east north, okay? And everybody felt that, which is something really huge. It's not just me, and next to my house is whole Lebanon. And then we realized even in the northern city, Tripoli, and in the southern city, Saida, which is very far, it's around 1 hour by driving to Beirut. Also, they felt it. So, which means it's so huge.
And there are many homeless people right now. How is the situation being managed to give them support?
Yes, yesterday I went. Yesterday I went to the place away from this warehouse explosion, and I see all the shops and the windows because it's the shop, and I see all the shops are changing their windows, and one of the shop is not anything. I did the interview. I said, how many years you work this shop? It's a 50 years.
It's a very bad line, I'm afraid. It's a very bad line. It's cutting off quite a lot because we can hardly hear you. But I hope to join you again very soon. I thank you for your time today, and God be with you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madame Ibrahim. Thank you. That's very sad. Do you think that was also a leadership problem?
In Lebanon?
That this happened, yes.
Well, Lebanon has been in a state of confusion for many, many years, including a civil war. But even before that, they have 3 large communities: Christian, Muslim, Jewish, and they have a system of clans. Clans, coalitions, and everybody tries to make the best of the situation. Everybody looks at his group without looking at the nation state of Lebanon as such. That's the problem.
But I mean, it was very, unfortunate is an understatement. With COVID-19 and then this, it's just a big tragedy. And I hope that they find a lot of help from other governments around the world.